Welcome to a deep dive
Okay.
into the world of Neville Goddard.
Oh, cool.
We're going to be exploring how he believed
Okay.
our imaginations could shape reality.
Interesting.
And to really get into it, we're going to be using excerpts from a YouTube transcript called Imaginary Alchemy
Mm-hmm.
from the channel The Power of Voice.
Okay.
We'll unpack these ideas and
Right.
hopefully give you some practical tools
Uh,
to use in your own life.
well, what's so captivating about Neville Goddard is that he kind of turns the tables on how we typically view the world.
Yeah.
He challenges the idea that we're just passively moving through life,
Mm-hmm.
subject to outside forces.
Yeah.
He says instead, we're the architects of our own reality.
That's a powerful concept.
Yeah.
He even uses this really interesting analogy to illustrate this point,
Okay.
comparing our consciousness to steel.
Yeah, he talks about how simply rearranging the electrons in steel can turn it into a magnet.
Oh, wow.
And Goddard suggests that our minds work in a similar way. When we intentionally rearrange and direct our thoughts towards our desires, we essentially magnetize our reality
Wow.
to draw in what we want.
So if our thoughts have this kind of power, where do we even begin to harness it?
Well, Goddard repeatedly emphasizes self-observation
Okay.
as the first step.
Okay.
And he doesn't mean self-criticism,
Right.
but rather taking a step back to simply notice
Yeah.
our automatic reactions to situations
Mhm.
without judgment,
Right.
just observation.
It's almost like becoming a scientist of our own minds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where it can get a bit unsettling.
Okay.
Goddard even uses the phrase dreadful shock
Wow.
to describe the realization of how much our moods influence our perception of the world.
Right.
He said, if today you spend just 5 minutes objectively observing yourself,
Okay.
you'll be surprised by your own deception.
I think we've all experienced this. Like
Yeah.
when you're in a bad mood and suddenly everything seems to be going wrong,
Right.
is your state of consciousness creating that experience?
Precisely. And here's where Goddard takes it a step further.
Okay.
He suggests that this state of consciousness
Yeah.
isn't just some side effect.
Okay.
It's the primary cause.
Wow.
He's flipping cause and effect.
Yeah.
So if we want to change our experiences, we need to change our state of being.
So how do we go about actually changing our state of being? Does Goddard offer any guidance on that?
He does. And this is where desire comes into play.
Okay.
He's not saying we should suppress our desires,
Right.
but rather view them as the driving force of creation.
Okay.
He uses the metaphor of hunger.
Okay.
You can't manifest something you don't truly crave.
Right.
Right? The
Yeah.
intensity of that hunger fuels the whole creative process.
It makes me think of the saying, energy flows where attention goes.
Yes, it's all about focusing our mental and emotional energy on
Yeah.
what we truly want.
Yeah.
Now, Goddard takes this a step further by diving into something he calls the I am.
Okay.
It might sound simple, but he believes these two little words hold immense power. Wow. In fact, he equates the I am with God,
Okay.
the creative force that resides within each of us.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
What does he mean by that?
Goddard suggests that whatever you declare after I am becomes your reality.
Wow.
It's not just about positive thinking.
Right.
It's about aligning your being
Yeah.
with the qualities you want to embody.
Okay.
So when you say, I am strong, I am healthy, or I am abundant,
Mm-hmm.
you're not just stating a wish.
Right.
You're actively shaping your reality.
So if we're constantly saying things like, I am tired or I am unlucky,
Yeah.
we're actually attracting more of those experiences into our lives.
Precisely. That's why Goddard emphasizes becoming aware of the negative I am statements
Okay.
you might be unconsciously making
Right.
and replacing them with the more empowering affirmations.
Yeah.
It's about taking ownership of your
Right.
self-definition.
This reminds me of that idea that we become what we think about most of the time.
Exactly. And Goddard takes this concept even further with a technique he calls assumption. It's about living in the state of the wish fulfilled,
Mhm.
not just hoping for it,
Right.
but experiencing it
Okay.
as if it's already true.
He uses a really striking example to illustrate this.
Okay?
A story about a blind girl who uses a golden rope tied to the sun to find her way.
Wow.
It's all about trusting your inner vision,
Right.
your imagination,
Yeah.
to lead you to your desires.
It's a powerful metaphor for how we can use our imagination to navigate through life's challenges.
Yeah.
It's not about denying the obstacles,
Right.
but about focusing on the desired outcome
Yeah.
with such intensity
Yeah.
that it becomes a reality.
He gives us practical advice,
Yeah.
suggesting we choose a desire
All
and
right.
vividly imagine it as already accomplished,
Mm.
engage all our senses.
Right.
See, hearing, feeling, even tasting and smelling
Wow.
the reality we want to create.
That's amazing.
It's like creating a movie in our minds, and we're the stars.
Yeah.
But we're not just limited to manifesting material things, are we? Does Goddard address things like forgiveness?
He does.
Okay.
Or emotional well-being.
Yeah, and he offers a unique perspective on forgiveness.
Okay.
He suggests that it all starts with forgiving ourselves.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, how can we truly forgive others if we haven't forgiven ourselves first?
Exactly. And Goddard ties this to the idea of second causes.
Okay.
The belief that something outside of us
Right.
is responsible for our experiences.
Right.
He suggests that when we let go of blame,
Yeah.
whether it's directed at ourselves or others,
Mm-hmm.
we reclaim our power.
So it's not about denying that things happen,
Right.
but about taking responsibility for how we choose to react to them.
Precisely. And he offers a tangible piece of advice.
Okay.
Relive past experiences in your imagination.
Okay.
But this time, alter your reactions.
Okay.
Choose forgiveness.
Yeah.
By rewriting those mental scripts, we release the emotional baggage attached to those experiences.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like we have the power to go back and heal old wounds, even change the way we view past events.
Exactly. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
In the next part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
we'll explore how these principles work together
Okay.
to create our reality.
This is really thought-provoking stuff.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground already, from the power of consciousness to self-observation, desire, the IMM assumption, and even forgiveness,
Right.
all through the lens of Neville Goddard's teachings.
It's amazing.
I can't wait to dive deeper in the next part.
Yeah, me too.
All right, we'll see you there.
See you then. Welcome back to our deep dive into Neville Goddard's transformative world. We're going to shift gears a bit
Okay.
and explore how his teachings can be applied to everyday life.
Yeah, that's what I'm really curious about.
Okay.
It's one thing to understand these concepts,
Right.
but how do we actually put them into practice
Yeah.
and see results?
Well, let's revisit this idea of assumption,
Okay.
living as if the wish is already fulfilled. Goddard illustrates this beautifully with the story of the blind girl
Right.
who uses a golden rope tied to the sun to find her way.
Yeah, that story really struck me.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that?
Right.
How do we shift from wishing to assuming?
Goddard gives very specific instructions. Choose a desire
Okay.
and vividly imagine it as already accomplished. Engage all your senses.
Okay.
What do you see, hear, feel, taste, smell
Right.
in this new reality?
Yeah.
Live in that reality mentally.
It's like creating a detailed blueprint in our minds,
Yeah.
a blueprint that eventually becomes our external reality.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. Remember how Goddard talks about second causes?
Right.
The tendency to blame external factors for our experiences?
Right? Yeah.
He ties us into forgiveness,
Okay.
saying true forgiveness starts with ourselves.
That makes a lot of sense. Holding on to blame, whether towards ourselves or others, keeps us stuck in a victim mentality.
Precisely.
Oh.
And when we release that blame, something powerful happens. We reclaim our power to create.
Okay.
He even suggests reliving past experiences in our imaginations.
Okay.
But this time, altering our reactions. Choose forgiveness. By rewriting those mental scripts, we free ourselves from the negative energy attached to those events.
It's like we have the power to go back and heal old wounds, to change the way we view our past.
Exactly. Now, Goddard also talks about the power of the spoken word.
Okay.
He believes our words aren't just sounds.
Right.
They're creative forces that shape our reality.
He has this incredible line: your consciousness is the power of speech. It's divine without division.
He's saying our words have the power to create or destroy, to bless or curse.
Yeah.
We need to become aware of our inner conversations,
Right.
those silent dialogues we have with ourselves all day long.
Yeah.
Goddard suggests replacing negative self-talk with affirmations, words of encouragement, expressions of gratitude.
So it's not just about what we say out loud.
Right.
It's about the thoughts we're feeding ourselves internally.
Exactly. And this leads to the idea of right thinking, aligning our thoughts with our desires. It's about choosing thoughts that support our goals.
Right.
And letting go of thoughts that contradict them.
It makes me think of the saying, what you focus on expands.
Precisely. It's not just about positive thinking for the sake of it.
Right.
It's about consciously directing our thoughts
Yeah.
to create the reality we want.
This is all starting to come together, but there's one thing I'm still grappling with.
Okay.
Goddard emphasizes the importance of faith.
Yeah.
But what does he really mean by faith?
Goddard defines faith as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. He's not talking about blind belief,
Okay.
but about cultivating a deep inner knowing that what we desire is already ours.
So it's about trusting that the unseen reality we're creating in our minds
Right.
will eventually manifest in the physical world.
Exactly. He even gives specific advice on how to pray effectively.
Okay.
He says, when you pray, believe that you have received and you will have it.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to feel in the fulfilled desire.
Okay.
For consciousness
Mm-hmm.
is the only reality.
Right.
And all you see is the externalization of a state of consciousness.
So it's not about begging or pleading.
Right.
It's about feeling the joy and gratitude as if our desires are already fulfilled.
Precisely. Now, this might sound a bit far-fetched,
Okay.
but Goddard even suggests that we can change the past.
Wait, change the past?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
He says, free yourself from the grip of past wrong relationships by reliving experiences and altering them. Do this by imagining the experience in your mind and saying what you would have said and done if it had happened at that time. It's about changing our perception of those events, releasing the negative charge,
Yeah.
and reclaiming our power.
That's a powerful concept. It's like we have the power to heal old wounds, not just in the present, but also in our memories of the past. But doesn't that kind of contradict the idea that we can't change what's already happened?
That's a great question, and it leads us into some of the more mystical aspects of Goddard's teachings.
I can't wait to hear more about that. We've covered so much ground already. The power of desire, the technique of living in the state of the wish fulfilled,
Yeah.
the importance of forgiveness and right thinking, the creative power of our words, and the role of faith in bringing our desires to life.
Yes, and in the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
we'll explore Goddard's insights into the nature of God,
Okay.
the meaning of the Bible,
All right.
and the true purpose of life.
This is definitely blowing my mind. I'm eager to hear what else Goddard has to say. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the world of Neville Goddard. We've covered a lot of ground, from the power of our imagination to the importance of self-observation and forgiveness. And now we're venturing into what might be considered the most profound and perhaps even mystical aspects of his teachings.
Yes, in this last section of Imaginary Alchemy, Goddard really delves into the nature of God,
Okay.
the meaning of the Bible, and what he believes to be the true purpose of life.
Okay, so let's start with Goddard's views seem pretty radical compared to traditional religious interpretations.
He does present a very unique perspective. Goddard doesn't see God as a separate being,
Okay,
some external entity sitting on a throne.
right.
Instead, he views God as the very essence of our being, our own consciousness.
Wow.
He even goes so far as to equate God with the I am P,
Okay.
suggesting that the creative power of the universe resides within each of us.
That's quite a departure from the idea of a God who is separate from humanity.
It is, and it leads to some fascinating implications.
Okay.
For example, Goddard believes the Bible isn't a literal historical document,
Mm-hmm.
but rather a psychological allegory, a roadmap for inner transformation.
So he's suggesting that the stories and characters in the Bible represent different aspects of our own consciousness.
Exactly. He believes that by understanding the Bible psychologically, we can unlock deep insights into our own potential.
That's a really intriguing way to look at it. It makes me think of those classic stories like David and Goliath, representing the struggle between our fears and our inner strength.
Exactly. Goddard suggests that all the great figures in the Bible,
Okay.
Moses, Abraham, Jesus,
Yeah.
are archetypes that exist within each of us.
Wow.
And their journeys, their challenges, and their triumphs mirror our own journey of awakening to our true nature.
He even says something pretty radical, that we're all destined to become Jesus Christ. Now, I know that might sound shocking or even blasphemous to some,
Right.
but I think he's using Jesus Christ symbolically, right?
You're right. He's not referring to the historical figure in the literal sense.
Okay.
He's using Jesus Christ to symbolize the awakened imagination,
Right.
the full realization of our human potential.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that the same power that created the universe
Yeah.
resides within each of us.
So what does Goddard say is the purpose of life? If we all have this divine potential within us, what are we supposed to do with it?
Goddard believes the purpose of life is to awaken to this power
Okay.
and use it to create the reality we desire. It's about becoming conscious creators.
Right.
not just passive recipients of circumstance.
Yeah.
And this journey, he emphasizes, is not about seeking external validation or approval.
Okay.
It's about proving something to ourselves, about discovering our true nature
Right.
and expressing it in the world.
That's a powerful message. It's not about seeking someone else's permission or approval to be who we truly are.
Right.
It's about embracing our own power and creating a life that reflects our unique vision. But this all sounds like a pretty challenging journey.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
Goddard offers some practical guidance.
Hmm.
He continually emphasizes self-observation,
Okay.
becoming aware of our thoughts and reactions, and choosing those that align with our desires.
Hmm.
He talks about the power of forgiveness, releasing the past, and embracing a new story for our lives. He reminds us that this is not a journey for the faint of heart. It requires courage,
Right.
persistence, and a willingness to challenge our limiting beliefs.
He even uses a really vivid analogy to describe this process of transformation, comparing it to a cloud and a pillar of fire.
Yes, the cloud represents our current state of consciousness,
Okay.
while the pillar of fire symbolizes the awakened imagination, the light that guides us on our journey.
Okay.
He suggests that when we meditate, when we turn our attention inward, the brain becomes luminous, like a pillar of fire illuminating the darkness.
Wow.
And this light has the power to break the chains of our limiting beliefs and guide us to a new level of being.
That's a powerful image. Like, we all have this inner light within us just waiting to be ignited. But how do we actually access it?
Right.
How do we fan those flames?
Goddard talks about finding our true name,
Okay.
which he equates with the I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's about recognizing that our true identity is not limited by our physical form,
Right.
our social roles, or our past experiences.
Yeah.
Our true name is pure consciousness, infinite potential. He encourages us to claim this true name, to step into our power and express our unique gifts in the world.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into Neville Goddard's imaginary alchemy, I'm left with a sense of awe and possibility. He's presented a whole new dimension of reality, one where our thoughts truly do create our world. And it's not just about material success or
Right.
worldly achievements. It's about something much deeper.
Yeah.
It's about awakening to our true nature, realizing our divine potential, and expressing it in the world.
He leaves us with this powerful question. If your imagination is the key to unlocking your reality, what world will you create?
We hope this deep dive has given you a new perspective on the power of your own imagination. We encourage you to explore these ideas,
Yeah.
experiment with the techniques, and see what unfolds in your own life. Remember, this is just the beginning of the journey.
The world is your canvas.
Yeah.
What masterpiece will you bring to life?